And we're back on Live Las Vegas with Rikki Cheese, talking about another very serious topic here today. I've got my guests today, James and Christina Teichman, who are going to tell you the story of what they've experienced. But let's talk just really briefly about domestic violence in general. There is a perception that domestic violence is only like man against woman, but in Nevada, it's any family member who is involved with, abusing someone, and the actual definition of abuse can range from emotional to verbal and physical. So it's a much broader definition of domestic violence than just the guy beating up on his girlfriend. It can be maybe senior parents and their kids are beating up on them. It's a very wide range, and that's what makes it such a hard topic to talk about, because there's still so much shame around it as well. People really don't want to talk about it. And it's defined as a pattern of escalating violence in which the victim is controlled through any sort of deprivation or threat of deprivation or violence. It's like something bad is going to happen to you. Let's just cut to the chase. So, Christina, tell me your story.
Well, basically, long story short, my ex-boyfriend was Marco Duarte. We met in high school. I believe it was my freshman year or sophomore year that I met him. Everything was fine, just a regular, high school relationship. It ended up lasting about 6.5 years, so well after high school. There were little signs of him telling me, I don't want you to wear that, or little things just to kind of control me. I don't want you to hang out with her. And then it started escalating to, I don't want you hanging out with any of these people. And anytime I did, it was a huge fight that I would have to come back to. He was yelling at me or just trying to make me feel bad or try to punish me for hanging out with friends. And then after I let go of all my friends, it escalated to my family, and he didn't want me to be around my dad or my sister or my brother or anybody, because they were kind of picking up on it, and they were kind of just asking questions, and he was uncomfortable, and he didn't want me to be around them or anybody for that matter that knew him and kind of could catch on to it. So I was only allowed to hang out with him, his family, or his friends, basically. So I was very constricted.
You're being isolated
Yes.
from your friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
Yes. So that happened, and then I found out, that he was cheating on me, and he got arrested for 4 open gross lewdness charges, 5, and I didn't know if they were true or not.
Felony.
Yeah, felony charges. I didn't know if they were true or not. I didn't have any evidence. I didn't know, and I loved him, so I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna believe you. You did nothing, I got pregnant.
Were you guys living together at this time?
We were living together. I moved out when I was 17 with him. I got pregnant. We had a baby together. And while I was pregnant, I found everything. I found all the evidence. I found, evidence of him cheating on me and doing all these nasty videos of recording girls and their private parts and just trying to do all these little, just gross things. I found a lot of things, and
without the girls knowing. We're talking about local schools and local malls. He would go around and film girls' private parts.
Okay,
make videos
right.
and store them on his computer.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and so I broke up with him, but because we were having a baby, I went back with him. He convinced me, I'm going to change, I'm not going to do drugs, I'm not going to cheat, I'm not going to do all this stuff to you. You can be with your family. And then it lasted for maybe about a month, and then it got a lot worse after the baby was born. To the point where there was drugs on the floor, and I was picking him up because I didn't want the baby to get to him. And once I confronted him just about everything, and the one night that I went out with my friends, he lost it. He tried to take the baby away from me. That's when he pulled me down by my hair, and he hit me, and then he locked me in the closet, and he was trying to make it so that I couldn't leave. But I had already called my sister, told her what happened. She told my dad. My dad was like, I'm going to call the cops if you don't let my daughter leave. So he had no other choice but to let me leave. And then the next morning when he was at work, I went to go get my stuff, get belongings, savings, the baby, and I sat down with my sister and his family, and I told him everything that happened. This is what I'm doing. They told me this is the right thing to do. You teach him a lesson, move on, whatever. So I did that, and then he was actually waiting for me at my dad's house because his mom called and told Marco everything that happened. And so he was waiting at my father's house for me in Henderson. And he came up to the car and tried to open the door. and it was locked because my sister told me to lock the doors because she saw him first. I locked the doors, and yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, baby. John's going to give us this issue. Yeah. It's tough to relive this. I know.
Marco was waiting in the bushes at the house.
At your house.
Right. I was at work. Everyone was gone. My younger daughter Amy was with her, and the 1-year-old child. And so Marco, when he found out the door was locked, he had switched gears. She calls me immediately, so I'm on the phone. I can hear all this happening. And yeah, it's just tough. So he convinces Christina to crack the window. He switches gears and he says, well, just let me say bye to my son. Just let me say bye to my son. Just crack the window so I can say bye to my son. She cracks the window. He throws his arm through the window. He gets the back door unlocked. Jumps in the back of the car. He's punching Christina in the back of the head. As he's doing that, as he's cocking back, he's hitting his own son in the face. My daughter Amy jumps out of the car, runs around. His butt's kind of hanging out of the back, of the car, and she's trying to yank him out of the car. Everyone's screaming, everyone's crying, the child's screaming. So, that was a bad time.
Mm-hmm. During the time when you guys were dating and you were slowly being pulled away from your family, did you ever suspect anything? Did you ever talk to your dad or your mom about, your sister about what was happening in the early part of the relationship where you knew that there was it just wasn't bad, but it wasn't right?
Yeah. You're asking Christina or you're asking me
both
that question?
Of you, yeah.
Well, I really didn't like the guy. They were kids. They were teenagers. They were in high school. I always told Christina would move on, and I told her, there's better guys than him, things like that. Towards the end of the relationship, I started noticing that, she wasn't coming around, she wasn't talking, and I asked her, what's going on? Something's going on here, tell me about it. She didn't want to tell me about it, but she had been confiding in her sister, Amy. Mm-hmm. The night that he threw her to the ground by her hair and ripped the baby from her, and locked her in a closet. Amy came into my room, I think it was about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And Amy said that she'd had enough, she was going to tell me, because they were keeping this secret.
Why?
From me.
Why?
I
mean, if you got an active dad who's involved in your life, I would think that he'd be one of the first guys you'd go to actually say, is this like normal guy behavior, Dad? And is that something that,
that's one of the things that blew me away that I didn't know about it, but I guess this is how girls act who are in love with. They're always hoping that he'll change. They're always trying to change him. And the boy's trying to convince the girl that he's going to change, promising he'll never hit him again, he'll never beat them again. Give me another chance. The first time that she left him, what he did was he took all of her belongings, jewelry, laptops they'd been saving for years to buy their first house, and he had control of all that. He said, come talk to me, and he convinced her, we're having a baby, I'm going to make a change. So he convinced her to go back. But it just kept getting worse. Well, the night that I was brought into the loop, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Amy wakes me up. Dad, there's something wrong. Christina's locked in a closet, and I'm waking up to my daughter's locked in a closet.
Right.
Like, what the hell are you talking about? This is what's going on. Marco's been hitting her. She needs your help. So I'm like throwing my clothes on, running down to get in the car, and I'm calling Christina, and I'm getting sent to voicemail. So I start texting. And I text over, I said, if you don't answer the phone or call me back within the next few seconds, I'm dialing 911, and I'm already on my way.
Right.
Tell Marco I'm calling the cops, because I wanted him to release her.
Right.
And I knew that if there was a threat of a man or a cop, he was going to let her go.
Right.
Because Marco's a child. If there's another man around, he's a very weak individual. But he can beat on women, no problem.
Right.
Right, Marco? You can beat on women, but
now,
not men.
Tell me the status of, and I want to be very clear with you folks. again, I've covered so many stories about domestic violence. I know that there are people out there in the audience who are asking the same questions that I'm asking you, like, why didn't the family know? Why didn't somebody say something? Why didn't you, da 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 da? I mean, I had a bad boyfriend in high school too, and I did the same thing that you did because I was so embarrassed.
Yeah,
I mean, literally, I was embarrassed. How was I going to tell my mother that this guy was talking trash to me?
Shame
it was just
and silence.
Shame
this is
and
how
silence.
they control women.
Yes.
They shame them and they control them. And Marco's not just your typical boyfriend beating up women. He's a registered sex offender. He's been convicted of 4 open counts of gross lewdness. This man is out filming your children in this Las Vegas community. He's visiting local schools and malls.
Now, how do you know
filming
that?
your children.
How do you know
I
that?
found all the
She
evidence
found all the videos on his
on his
computer.
laptop.
Okay.
And the police came to the house and arrested him
Right.
and convicted him of it.
Okay.
He's a
Right.
registered sex offender,
Right.
and he's beating women. So this is kind of all coming up when she found the videos, and he got the charges. She's like, "Explain the charges, Marco." And he said, "Well, I was changing my clothes, or I was peeing on a building." And there's 4 or 5 counts of this stuff.
Right. Right.
But he explained it away that way. Well, she started digging into him. These cases are sealed. She
Yeah, you
couldn't
don't-
find
you don't
out what
know
was going
anything.
on.
Why is
Probably-
that? Was he a juvenile at the time?
No, he's an adult.
It's just sealed. I don't know. You're not allowed to know anything. There's nothing on there.
Okay, this is on one show. We've got 2 whole different claims of police corruption here that unfortunately I can't substantiate.
The
on
police
this
have
show.
actually been very helpful.
Okay.
I just want to get that. The police, Metro, Henderson have been very, very helpful. They seem to care. They arrested Marco. The punishment doesn't seem to be there.
And what is the punishment that he's gotten so far?
He'd spent a total of 10 days in jail, and he has 6 months probation for one and a year probation for the other.
For the felonies?
Yes.
He took a plea bargain, got him reduced to gross misdemeanors,
Okay.
4 counts,
Right.
because it's his first offense. He had to register as a sex offender,
Right.
and he had his first case of domestic violence where he was convicted of domestic violence, and that's what he did the 10 days for.
Right. Right.
In the meanwhile, he's been able to steal all of her belongings, her money, her savings, her college tuition checks. Just this weekend, he used her Disneyland passes that she got for a graduation present to take his new girlfriend to Disneyland with their child. That's where he's at this weekend.
Do you feel any obligation to warn the new girlfriend that, you know what, because it's just been
We wanna break the secrecy.
it's been my experience that
Yes.
once you've gotten somebody, a guy who's been doing this, or anybody who's been found guilty of domestic violence, this is not a one-time event.
No.
You know,
Rikki, I've seen it get worse over the years. I've watched this young man, 12, 13, 14, 15, turn into an adult, and he's getting more violent,
what is your
more
answer?
aggressive. I would not be surprised if this guy keeps going and escalates. Look, where are we going to be when he's 40?
I know one of the reasons why I wanted to have you guys on and that you wanted to be on the show is you really want to do more to raise awareness here in the
Yes.
community
Yes,
and break the
absolutely.
cycle, because now we've got that whole Me Too thing, which
we
really
wanna get involved.
shined a light on harassment. But it just seems like over the years, I just don't even hear, unless the case is so extreme. It's almost like domestic violence just doesn't even get covered in
He
the
beat
news.
2 of my daughters in the driveway of my home, left 2 of my daughters bleeding, hit his
front
own
of
son
our
in the
son,
face, or in his own son in the face, to steal money. That's what he was there to do, steal her money, her life savings.
Or savings.
Anything that she'd recovered from the house, he wanted to steal it back so he could control her with it. So he used everything to control women.
Right.
Fear, financial, anything they can do to control them. So there's 2 reasons why we're trying to get the word out. One, we want to break the brick wall of secrecy.
Yes.
This is the power that these men have over the women. The women are ashamed,
Yes.
and they use that power to shame them. They keep them away from their own families.
Yeah.
They kept my own daughter away from me.
Yeah.
So we want to get that out there. The next thing that we want to do is we want to help the community somehow. I want to help other girls. Christina wants to help other girls. Your option is Shade Tree? Really? So we want to start.
Safe Nest.
Yeah, we
Yes.
want to start some type of
And these are
foundation.
shelters for women and children. Shade Tree is for women and children where they're seeing people who are homeless because of domestic violence.
You're throwing them
And
into the worst part
Safe
of the city,
Nest,
yeah.
where they're hiding them out because they're in danger of actually potentially being killed by their abusers.
So we want to start some type of program where we can help provide housing assistance for girls who are in danger, help them get away. People who are really ready to make the move. You have to break your secrecy. You have to get the word out, and then you need a safe place to go, because these people are violent. They will kill you. Marco has threatened to kill my children. He's threatened to kill me. He's threatened to kill Christina. And I don't know if it's just because he's first offenses or whatnot, but these judges don't seem to take it very seriously, or they don't believe it because he's so young or whatever. Just in the family court, I honestly think that if the judge really knew the extent of what was going on, he wouldn't have given Marco unrestricted 50-50 custody. This is a guy who leaves drugs on the floor. He's out filming women in the community and beating other women. If the guy needs counseling, Marco needs to be put in a situation where he admits what he's done, apologizes for it, and agrees to get counseling. But he needs to admit he has a problem.
Right.
And I think if he ever turns that corner, maybe he can be saved. But right now he's a danger, and he hasn't been punished, and he is continuing down that path, and he's becoming more aggressive and more bold because there's no punishments.
Christina, what's the one thing that you would say as a young woman, and what would you have done differently in those early stages where you thought, this isn't really going well?
I would have probably listened to a lot of people that were telling me to leave him in the first place. I had a lot of friends that were telling me to leave him, that he's not good for you. My sister was saying it. My dad was kind of dropping hints here and there. I actually had a friend, I'm not really going to say his name, but he asked me, he's like, does he grab you like this? And I just kind of looked at him, and he's like, that's not good. He's like, that's not okay. You should leave him. You shouldn't be with him. And another friend told me, he's like, he's going to ruin your life. He's going to ruin the rest of your life, and every relationship that you have with anybody, he's going to ruin it. He's like, you need to not be with him. And this was in high school. People were telling me this.
Yeah.
And I was just, he was my first love, first guy I was ever with, so I gave him the benefit of the doubt. And
she wanted him to change.
Yeah. Sure.
I would tell the community, any girls that are asking, get your family involved. Talk to your mom and dad. Do it immediately. Don't be ashamed. Your mom and dad love you.
Yeah.
Don't be ashamed. Talk to your mom and dad. The only power these men have over you is the secrecy that you give them. Break that secrecy. Find people in the community who will help you. I'm going to figure out a way to help you. We want to help you. We're putting that stuff together right now, websites, and we want to get involved with the community. Hopefully you can point us to people who care about this situation.
Absolutely.
I will meet with anyone anytime to talk about how we can help these girls in the community.
And we're going to follow up with you, because I think this is so critical. Your story, we could do a whole other show on my own personal story, and it is so close to yours. The only thing is it didn't get so violent, because I did talk earlier on, but that is typical. It's like this little creepy thing that happens. It's not all at once, because if somebody came up to you and just punched you in the face, you'd be like,
Yeah.
But it's like the little, don't wear those shoes.
Yeah.
I'm lonely. Don't go out. This is my favorite. Your mom and your sister don't love you. That was like a breaker for me. It's like, my mother and my sister don't love me?
Your family's trying to break us up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm laughing only because I'm so horrified. I'm grateful for you to come on and share your story, because it starts so young, but there are also women out there who, are seniors who are going through the same thing. I mean, this knows no age, gender, or race. There are families who have these stories, and those stories need to be shared. So I want to thank the Teichmans for coming on and sharing
Rikki.
The story. Please,
One thing
much.
I just want to get in there, if I can, if there's enough time. My grandson is in danger. So if there's anyone out there who can give me advice or help us get my grandson out of this situation.
This is 50-50 custody.
Until Marco gets some counseling, we think there should be some supervision.
Yeah. Right.
And so if there's anyone who has advice on that. And meanwhile, we're going to charge forward and try to help the community, help some girls out there.
And if you can help them, just give me a call here at the Live Las Vegas with Rikki Cheese, and we'll just kind of get this party started, because the more people who actually share their stories, then then you're not alone. I mean, like I said, I'm sitting here kind of going, I saw this movie. I was a star of this movie. So James and Christina Teichman, thank you. You're very, very brave, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining us here on Live Las Vegas with Rikki Cheese. We'll see you back here next week.